Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are taking a look at Darth Tyranus. And this is from the much older Star Wars Unleashed figure line. So I'm very hesitant on calling this an action figure because there is really no action behind this. The Unleashed line was kind of like Hasbro's attempt at making like they're almost kind of like mini statues / display pieces. So this doesn't it's not like an action figure like in the traditional sense. This is really much more of just like a statue. This came out way back in 2002. The line was around for a while. It saw a couple of different waves. I don't remember if this was necessarily a popular thing, but this came out around the time, coming out of the late 90s. Collectors were really concerned about how detailed and realistic their figures looked. And I think it wasn't until some years later that we became a little bit more focused on articulation. But for a lot of us as children growing up in the 80s, our figures were very bare minimum. They weren't very realistic. But the minute McFarlane started creating these wonderful masterpieces that were essentially like mini statues, other companies kind of jumped on board with that. And this was like Hasbro. Hasbro had their way of thinking, and they produced, without a doubt, these were high quality. They looked amazing, but they weren't very functional in terms of toys. The box is nice. There's a nice meaty bio on Count Dooku / Darth Tyranus. Here's the figure. It kind of talks about how you can swap the hand out. So you can either give him like the Sith lightning, or he could be holding his lightsaber. Some other figures in this wave included Anakin and Mace Windu. Okay, so this figure was on display on our wall, but it got knocked down, and when it got knocked down, the bubble kind of got knocked loose. These are heavy figures, so I'm surprised that over 20 years this didn't happen sooner. So what we're going to do here is we're going to attempt to unbox this without removing the bubble completely from the card. So at the very least, we could take a look at the figure itself to give you an idea of what this is like. This thing is like 20 years old. Chances are some of you may, you weren't even born yet, or you're probably just like a toddler or an infant. But if you're like me and you were actually, around during this time period, you'll kind of remember these Star Wars like statues. Okay, so he comes with a display base right there, and then here's the extra hand with the Sith lightning. He even comes with a trading card, so we have a Count Dooku Darth Tyranus trading card. And I think this was actually for maybe a collectible card game, maybe. Yeah, this was for a trading card game. Here's the blade for the lightsaber. And I don't think I'll be able to remove the figure without damaging this insert here. But we could try. I don't think he's taped in. Or he might be, actually. There we go. Alright, so we have Darth Tyranus, aka his government name is Count Dooku. Wonderful sculpted statue. I'm not going to necessarily call him an action figure. This guy stands in at about a little over 7.5 inches. So these statues that Hasbro produced, they were so beautifully well done. On the sculpting end, they were, it's not like they were 100% realistic. There was a little bit of some exaggeration to the the facial features and the bodies to make them look a little bit more dynamic. Like, this looks like Christopher Lee, but it's more of a reinterpretation of him. It's not like an exact look of the actor. It's it's a little bit exaggerated. His head's a little bit longer and slender than it should be. Likewise with his figure. But it's a very imposing pose. It looks great. I think the one piece of articulation is his arm. So if you wanted to, you could have him holding his lightsaber down. Or if you wanted to give him the Sith lightning, you could have his arm extended out and remove the hand, which plugs in and out like that. Wonderful sculpted details on the cape. There's a nice texture to it. It's not as perfect as like the figures we get nowadays. The folds in his cape, it's very, for lack of a better term, it's very exaggerated, very dynamic. A lot of excessive amount of folds and wrinkles. It looks amazing. So when this guy plugs into his base, if you notice here, he has 2 steel rods in his feet. So one of the issues with these action figures is that even though they had a base that you could stand them on, over time, some of these figures, depending on the plastic that was used, over time, the weight of the figure might be too much for the legs, and then sometimes the figures and the plastic would warp, and then they'd bend or lean over. Like my brother has the Jango Fett and Boba Fett on display, and the legs over time, they just couldn't hold up the weight of the figure, and the character's figure would just extremely lean over, and it wouldn't be standing fully erect anymore. But yeah, this was a great line of they're not even toys. I don't want to call them toys either. There was a great line of statues. They're wonderful display pieces. It's probably something I'm probably going to showcase more so in the future. We have a pretty decent collection of these mint on card. So in the near future, we could take a look at them. But this one looks great. It's fantastic. If you're a collector who's not so much about, action figures as opposed to just having stuff to display in your den or like on a bookshelf, I think these older Star Wars Unleashed figures are excellent. They have a presence about them that I think, a lot of action figures nowadays don't have. There's a big focus nowadays on this articulation and trying to give us a realistic action figure, but this is more so just about being a display piece. And the line, there's so many characters in the line. They have all the heavy hitters and the occasional figure that would surprise you. Like there's even a Ventress figure or statue. So yeah, wonderful line. I kind of wish Hasbro would revisit it, but I don't think something like this would sell in today's market. I don't think the modern collector is interested in these mini statues. Alright, so with that being said, let's wrap this video up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber viewer, thank you so much for continued likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.